So today's faction trials is the Watchers. It's stage 12. It's the first time I've gone through it, and once completed we get our random legendary hero reward. Right, let's see what I get at the end. Let's roll the video. Hello and welcome, I'm Mystical, this is Misstical Gaming. We're back in the Watcher Realms, and today we're just going over Trial of the Watchers. It's stage 12, I've not done it before, it's a final stage for me, so let's jump into the run and see how it goes. This is team makeup I'm using. I think you need 2 tanks and you probably need a healer and a half. For healers I'm going with Lightlock, and I also go with Constance as well. Right before we get into the battle, let's have a quick look at the mobs and see how the mobs are doing. If you have a look down them, and most of them with defense and magic resistance are pretty much the same. It's only when you get down towards the bottom with the mages that you can see there's a significant difference in the defense versus the magic resistance, so go careful of that. Make sure you've got some physical damage going on, because they're going to be quite resistant to it, although they're not the hardest mobs in the world to get through. Right, I'm just letting this run go through because it's a complete fail, so that's why I've sped it up a bit. Now, if you have a look, the amount of DPS I'm doing against the amount of healing I'm doing and what I can tank isn't strong enough, so I either need to make my tank stronger, make my healing a lot stronger, or improve the DPS. That's my options realistically. So on my next run I swap that about and see how I can improve it or change it around, because I need to change that first bit, and you need to watch out for that when you do your own run as well, to make sure that you can conquer these little things. Right, let's get me out of the way now. There you go, that should be me out of the way, and the start is very much the same. Regulus goes down, he's tanking down that bottom lane, although this time I save up for the 25 coins so I can put Alistair down. Much better off with him, much more DPS coming in. The only issue I've got now is if my tank is tanky enough to take the damage until my healer, who I'm using Constance, come along and actually start healing him up. So that's my opening gambit. After that I'm more worried about the ads coming down from the top. They come down in, I think they're in groups of 6, so Idril goes down there. She does take damage, so she's going to need a healer. I use Lightlock to be put up beside her. Works very well. We can get Lightlock going up there, and he also reaches the platform just in front to the right of him. Those 2 little platforms, he can reach those quite happily. He plays Crash down. Crash goes down ideally facing forward. He covers off the whole area really well. It's almost as if his range was designed for that area. Okay, now Wind next goes down. She's coming down, she's facing across the screen. She's going to cover off a massive DPS there. She's really good, really strong in this position. I think she's fantastic, and she puts out this DPS, covers off a lot of mobs. Absolutely fantastic, can't falter. Next to go down is my second tank. The second tank just covers off. Not really, I didn't find tanking to be too much of an issue here. You get sort of overrun with blocks of mobs, but as long as you're AoE going out, it's fine. The mobs go down relatively quickly. There isn't too much to worry about. I have more of an issue with those mobs flying in than I do with the ground units coming across and swarming. So that's me now pretty much set up. I didn't find the Watchers that hard in comparison to a lot of other faction trials out there. I think they're one of the easier ones to do. So as you can see, Idril's up there. She's taking care of some of these ads for me to start with. I probably trigger her a bit early. I've triggered her ultimate incorrectly, to be honest. I should have waited until they've moved and they're out of range, then triggered her ultimate, but I didn't. I fired it off straight away, and now she's hitting people all the way down the screen. I'm not concerned about her hitting. You should have carried on doing those aerial mobs, so that was a mistake on my part. Don't do that, learn from this. Make sure you're triggering Idril when they go out of their range, not straight away. So there we go, they're pretty much going down now, and they're now into sort of our kill zone of AoE. All the mobs, not too worried about it. Our tanks are fairly good at blocking off enough. The only concern is whether Constance can do enough healing. She's not a proper healer. She's more, you know, she's more of a tank, that sort of thing. So she's not really built for that role. And my tank does actually go down. But looking, I'm 41 of 43. I just put down a fighter to cover the last bit off. And as it is, it's not required because they're in the other lane anyway. But you It's not something you consider at the time. Quick, get someone down to block them and see what I can do, just buy myself a bit more time, but it wasn't required. Now I could have gone back and looked at making the tank tankier or upping Constance is healing. So that's it done, all cleared out of the way, not an issue. Good clear run, one of the easier faction trials out there. So that's it all done for me. All the faction trials are now done, so I can claim up the last of the rewards. That is the 2 summoning crystals and of course the random legendary. And we do very well out of this. The random legendary comes in very well. But knowing I was going to get a Twin Fiend, I would have done this a lot earlier. There we go. Absolutely brilliant. So we're making him up at the moment and going to start slotting him into a lot of teams. I've already got his exclusive artifact that's been sitting in the vault. I thought indefinitely. I thought, well, we won't be using that for a long time, and then lo and behold, there we go, random free legendary. Absolutely brilliant, happy with that. So, and this is why we do the faction trials as well, isn't it? And we can get our Pantheon bonus up as well. So that's me done. To this team I used, here's my crash. Relatively good gear. I haven't done his skills up, I don't use him enough. He's got his own exclusive, so that's already gone on there. Alistair, I did have a Tear of Twilight on him. Tear of Twilight, yes. That was level 25. I just quickly swapped it back onto Nox afterwards before I forget. That was his gear he had on there. Regulus is in, some T3 stuff. It's not fantastic gear. I've just sort of started collecting it, so I just wanted to put it on someone to see how it actually goes. Seems to be going all right, so we'll see how that rolls out later. Again, skill's not overly done, and he's got my tanky amulet on. So Constance is in her own exclusive artifact. Skills aren't done up, and then that's why I meant about the healing would become apparent later. We didn't gear her up either, so it is what it is. It went through anyway. So AWIN's all done. Skills are all going to be done on the epics, and they are all going to be Awakened 5. Okay, so here she is, probably brewing, absolutely fantastic. Idril, everyone's got an Idril made up anyway. If you haven't, you absolutely should have. Still in her amulet as well. There's Lightlock done up. I'm putting in some of my better healing gear, and then as normal, the centerpiece is done with speed, because I do like my healers going fast. And I think that was about all I used. Didn't use her. Hasn't got anything on. Nah, yes, we did use Lewin. So there you go, she's built up, and I use her occasionally for maybe applying a few stuns while I'm trying to play around with Guild Boss 2 as well. Probably need to gear her up a little better as well. Whoops. So that's pretty much the team I used. Yeah, I think that's everyone I used. There we go. There's everyone I used and the gear I used on them. Go and have a look at the Watchguard. Go and have a look at themselves. There's Ingrid now. Look, yeah, if you've got her, congratulations, you've won. There's a few tanks, you need 2, I think. So yeah, there's a couple of good options. Don't think you're short of good tanks in this faction. And then 2 healers. I use, well, 1.5 healers, so I used a Constance as my second healer. You've got options there, I think. If you've got some of the epics, that's going to make life, or some of the legendary, sorry, that's going to make life a lot easier for you. Whether you could get away with her, I don't know. I presume you've got better options by the time you get around to stage 12, but if you haven't, maybe. I wouldn't like to try it out myself. But there was my crash. I really enjoyed his range. It was well worth doing. And it was a nice easy run. Wasn't the hardest I've done. I think for DPS you'd laugh in here, really. I mean, I haven't got the best DPS from this faction, but I think Lucius as well, like we mentioned before, Ingrid would work really well for you, and that would be a fantastic little makeup. I think if you've got her, then well done, you've won. Then lastly, someone mentioned earlier that people don't show off their Pantheon or Hydron. There it is, 276 level, so those bonuses were added on as well. Now there you go, that's my team makeup. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got this far, then please give it the old thumbs up, and I'll see you in all the video again soon. Thanks so much for your time. Goodbye.